Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit Little Show about big things, folks. We have an incredible show today. British royalty is in the house. One of the greatest bands ever to come out of the British invasion. My good friend, the great Carl Green, is in the house, folks. Co-founder of one of the greatest British invasion bands, Herman's Hermits, selling over 80 million records, 18 top 40 hits. He's here in the States. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So, guys, before we start the show, check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, but mostly it's dedicated to people like you who take the time to watch the show, whether you're watching it here during your lunchtime or whether you're watching it any other social media outlet. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's showtime, so let's go to work. Showtime, right, Jimmy? Yeah, let's go, baby. All right. Okay. All right here. Yeah. Give us. Anyway, we're trying to get this go. Come on, baby. Kick in a little bit. All right. We're just going to start the show anyway. All right. So, Carl, thank you for doing this, sir. We really appreciate it very much. So, can you just start off from the beginning? Where are you born, sir?
I was born in a town called Salford, which is just next to Manchester. Salford was a very industrial area with all the docks and things like that. Yeah, and I was born 100 yards from the docks.
Time to go. It's the end of the show. Did you come from a big family, sir? There it is, Dino Manzella's intro. Thank you, there. So sorry about that. All right, Carl, come from a big family, sir?
No, there's just me and my brother and my mum and dad. We had lots of aunts and uncles and cousins and things. Yeah, so it's a reasonably big family.
Well, so, who influenced you as a child when you were first starting to listen to music? Was somebody that you listened to? Was somebody in the family? Somebody you seen on TV? Where did it all come from?
Well, my brother was a drummer in what were called back then a skiffle group. And it's like the British type of folk music, I suppose. And I used to listen to a guy called Lonnie Donegan, who had hits like Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavour on the Bedpost Overnight? And My Old Man's a Dustman, things like that. But I used to also listen to a lot of American artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Charlie Gracie influenced me as well, yeah. But I think most English people... Yeah, most English bands were listening to American music at the time.
Right.
Yeah, and those people influenced me. I lived across the road from the docks in Salford, Manchester, and all the American sailors used to come out of the docks, go across the road to the pub. And we used, as kids, I was maybe 9, used to stand outside the pubs asking for the American sailors to give us chewing gum, etc. And one of them gave me a single by Little Richard, and I took it home, and I'd never heard anything like it. I think Little Richard was the biggest influence on me ever.
Little Richard. Boy, Carl, what was it like when you first of all, Herman's Hermits come, clarify if anybody don't know exactly where the name came from.
Well, my favorite shows on TV were all cartoons. I used to watch Popeye. And there was a show that came out in England that was completely different called the Bullwinkle Show.
Right.
And it's Rocky and Moose. Do you remember that?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my head. Right, yeah.
Yeah, on that show, there was a character called Dr. Peabody, who was a dog.
Yeah.
And he had a pet boy called Sherman. And I thought Peter Noone, if he wore our keyboard player's glasses, if he wore those glasses, he looked like Sherman. So one night we were in conservative club or a Labour club in England, and he put his glasses on, and I was just calling him. I was meaning to call him Sherman, and it sounded like Herman. And the guys that all started calling him, hey Hyman, how you doing? And we were besotted by American music, and we always wanted to emulate all that sort of stuff. And the Hermits just came on. I think the bass player at the time, Al Wrigley, he said, "Yeah, Herman and the Hermits," and it just stuck because everyone remembered it.
Yeah, and it's an easy name to remember, and everybody enjoyed the name. Absolutely. So recording your records, what was Mickie Most like? How did you hook up? How did you get hooked up with Mickie Most?
Well, our manager had heard of Mickie Most because Mickie was having great big hits with people like the Nashville Teens, Brenda Lee, who recorded her. Lots of bands at the time were using Mickie, and every record he released, or the Animals, he had House of the Rising Sun, all those sort of things. And our manager wrote to Mickie, said, would he come down and see us play? Sent him an air ticket and a hotel reservation for him to come up to Manchester to see us. He came to see us, and we were Herman and the Hermits then, with a bass player and a drummer that they're no longer alive. But Mickie said, yeah, the band's great, apart from the bass player and drummer. He said, sack the bass player and drummer and come and see me again. So we had to let the bass player and drummer go. We couldn't find a bass player because I played guitar at the time.
Right.
And I said, I know a guy called Lek Leckenby, who's played in a band with a drummer called Barry Whittam. And we asked them to join us. And they were a bit sort of, they weren't sure whether to join us until our manager showed them our diary. And we were working every night at the age of, I think I was about 16 at the time, 15 or 16. So me and Peter had been together since 62, and this was at late 63. Lek and Barry joined, and we changed our name from Herman and the Hermits to Herman's Hermits, and that's how it went.
People don't even realize this, but Herman's Hermits between the year of 1965 and 1966 sold out the Beatles. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, I think we grossed more people on tour as well because the Beatles didn't tour that much after 64. Correct. Yeah, but a friend of mine, Mike Broccoleri, who he was telling me that a lot of bands in the States were outselling the Beatles in the later years. The Beatles were very popular, but they didn't sell the grosses of people. What was the Gary Lewis and the Playboys? People like that were outselling the Beatles. Yeah. But in 65, 65 was a monster year.
Tommy James.
Yeah. Tommy James and the Shondells.
And the Shondells. I mean, Carl, but when the British invasion came to the United States, oh my God, I know the Beatles came first. I think the Stones came first, but it wasn't a successful tour, if I'm correct. And then they came back, whatever it was. But the Beatles were the first, and then all the great bands that followed. What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was unreal. It was like living in a fairy tale land. We couldn't believe our luck, and we didn't think it would last. We thought it'd all be over in a couple of months, and it lasted until 1970. And Peter is still touring and doing very well with his Herman's Hermits. There's none of the originals in the band, but it's Peter and what he calls Herman's Hermits, and we've got Barry Whittam, who's on the road. He's was the drummer, and he's got his own Herman's Hermits. But I think it's a lot ahead.
Well, you know what? Like I said, at the time, the Beatles, the Stones, all the British invasion was like coming into the United States. What was the difference for people that might have not, the difference for you? Did you like playing more in the States or more in Europe? What's the difference?
When we all wanted to be American from the age of like 5 or 6 because all the good music back then was coming from the States. So we had a real affinity with the United States. I personally would love England to become the 51st state of America. That would have created a lot of good times, But I love the States, and that's why I keep coming back. I just love it here. I love the audiences. They're very receptive to my music,
Yeah, and you know what? But when you were in with all the different British invasion bands, were you a Beatle fan or were you more of a Stones guy?
I
If you had
liked
to pick.
I liked the Beatles, and my favourite Beatle was John Lennon. He had
Oh, mine too.
a nice raw edge, and that's why I like the Stones, because they've got a real raw edge. You know, in fact, we played with the Stones in Philadelphia in '65. The guy that booked the tour, we were on the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars tour, and he booked us into the gig in Philadelphia, and he was a bit worried that we wouldn't fill the place. But he booked the Stones on their second visit because they hadn't had success. So I think he got them at a reasonable price. And during that tour that they came over, they Satisfaction broke, I think, and they became. You know how big they became, and they're still touring. They were just here in Chicago a little while ago.
It's amazing that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, unbelievable. But Carl, Hermits, man, 80, like I said, 80 million records sold, 18 top 40. I mean, when you first hit, was the first hit "I'm Into Something Good"? Was that the first one? That went?
Yeah, that was number one in England, and I think it reached the top 11 here. I think, and then that was before we came. We came over at the end of '64 just to do a few TV shows. And then in '65, we came over and went on the road with Dick Clark. Massive tour. We had so many people on the show. There was Round Robin, Danny and the Juniors. There was Danny and the Detergents, Billy Stewart, Little Anthony and the Imperials, Reparata and the Delrons. There were hundreds of acts on. Freddie Cannon was on as well. Lovely guy, Freddie Cannon was. Really funny.
It's amazing. I'm not. Why is Hermits, in your opinion, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think our music was a bit too soft, a bit too vanilla. You know, we were teeny boppers. You know, but it doesn't bother me. I mean,
but they should.
I was born a rocker. I love rock music. You know, my favorite bands are Joe Walsh, the Eagles, the James Gang. I love Joe Cocker. I used to sit and watch Joe Cocker all the time. And I like American Southern music, like Leonard Skinner, that sort of stuff. And I'm very, very fond of the early Chicago as well. You know, Chicago, the band, early albums were so rocky. With Terry Kath playing guitar. He was brilliant.
He was incredible.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix actually said that Terry Kath was the guitar player to watch. And when Terry died, I think Chicago changed their style a little bit, and I kind of went off them a little bit. They became a soft
they kind of
rock.
lost that. They lost that kind of rocky edge they had to them. And
they were really hard rock before,
absolutely.
And I think that was Terry that brought all that, and I love the brass in that band. They were great, really powerful.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Carl, with the music, how did you guys pick the songs for the records? Did the band have any input in that, on what song was going to be on the record or what was going to be released? Did you guys have a lot of input?
Not really. No, Mickey was one of his great talents was matching a song to the artist, and he took us on basically because he thought Peter, he had a really good face. He thought Peter looked a bit like JFK, and thought that the people over here would fall in love with him. So we just he picked "I'm Into Something Good," which is a Carole King song, Carole King and Jerry Goffin. And a band called what were they called? Do you remember it was an American black blues type artist, and she sang "I'm Into Something Good" more bluesy than we did it more like the Beach Boys would have done it. We put the harmonies and called ourselves the English surf music, And
there it was. Great stuff, great songs, and all your music. I loved all your stuff. All your music is great. I mean, there's so many great songs besides the hits. I mean, No Milk Today, She's a Must to Avoid. I mean, there's so many great other songs that came along. If you're watching right now, Ocean's Pit, folks, we have the legendary Carl Green with us, folks, and we're going to stop for a quick commercial break. That's right. We're talking about our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local. Norridge Plains, Evergreen Park, Warrenville, and Mesa, Arizona. Tomorrow, July 11th, from 11 to 3, Norridge will be hosting the Craftsman 20 NASCAR car in their parking lot. They'll also be grilling and have some raffle prizes to give away. Also, on Friday, on the 12th, they'll be in Warrenville store with the same Craftsman's 20 NASCAR car in the lot take pictures. They'll be grilling. Summer deals happening now. 50% off lawn and garden decor, 40% off outdoor decorative chimes, patio sets, and more. Don't forget to tell them to grill your Ace off and get $20 off any grill purchase. That's Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local. Carl Green from Herman's Hermits. Not only that people might not realize the musician, songwriter, you guys were in 3 movies. Mrs. Brown in 68, Lovely Daughter, Hold On 66, and Where the Boys Meet the Girls in 65. When you found out that you guys are making movies, obviously after the big success of Hard Day's Night, what was your thoughts on that, Carl? Were you happy about making the movies, or you really weren't into that?
Yeah, we were happy, but none of us were particularly good at acting. So the directors gave the band, most of what we did was pick up a suitcase and run, to backing tracks. I've got no illusions. I can't act to save my life. And the rest of the guys felt the same way. We can't act, but we were pleased to be in a film. And I think MGM just made the films to sell the soundtrack albums. That was their idea of selling more albums, But I think a lot of people saw the movies.
Yeah,
Hold On. I've never seen them in the cinema, but I've got videos of them. Yeah, and looking back, they're so funny. They're very amusing.
They are amusing, but you know what? Hold On. Great song too. I mean, the movie. From the soundtrack, the song "Hold On" was fantastic on that. Great stuff on those movies. Do you have a favorite?
Sorry,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
I was just going to say that when we came over to do Hold On, when we came over to do Hold On, the music that the guys at MGM were playing to us, we were like old stuff that by writers that have been writing for Elvis for years and that sort of stuff. And we said, this is not us. These sort of songs are not us. So we called Mickey and said, they're trying to make us record stuff that we don't like. And he said, okay, I'm going to put the phone down, book a flight. I'll be there soon. And he phoned P.F. Stone, who was a great songwriter.
Rock songwriter, right.
You've got fabulous, you got about 24 hours to write some songs for Herman's Hermits for a film. By the time Mickey had got over, P.F. Sloan had written Hold On, Where Were You When I Needed You, and a couple of other songs by the time we got there. So we spent the rest of the time when Mickey was there, he hired RCA Studios, and we used to film during the day. Then we'd go into the studio and record all night, and then get up again at 6 a.m. to go and film. So it was very tiring, but we got some nice tracks done. Really nice tracks.
Yeah, and I like your version better of Where Were You When I Needed You, better than actually the Grassroots. I think they did it later on in the 60s.
That's right. Yeah, they covered it as a single. Yeah.
Right. I even like your version of Bus Stop better than the Hollies version. Just my opinion.
I think Bus Stop was written for us, and we put it on an album, and the Hollies heard it, and they redid it. Yeah, their version was slightly different. Yeah.
Carl Green from Herman's Hermits in the house, ladies and gentlemen. You got some stuff going on. Now I hear you might be writing an autobiography. Is that true?
Yeah, I've written sort of half of it, and it's with a guy, a proper writer, and he's just tidying it up and making the English better, because I'm dyslexic and I just type, different words. I say a word and I meant something else,
Something else. I'm the same way. Yeah, absolutely. But you retired from the Herman's Hermits in 1980. What was it like when Peter decided to leave the band and that you became the lead singer? What was that like, Carl?
Oh, it was fun. It was really good because we could, we just went as a 4-piece.
Yeah.
We were a lot tighter because everyone being musicians, we used to watch each other. And by the end of the 70s, or the mid 70s, we were a really good band on the road. We were very tight, very accomplished, and the band just kept getting better. And we got a guy called Frank Renshaw to come in and sing with us, who replaced Keith. Keith Hopwood left, and Frank had a superb voice, great rock voice. And we used to do Without You by Nielsen. And Frank used to bring the house down with that. He sang it superbly and brought the house down every night, every single night. Everyone was standing ovation for him. It was lovely.
It's a great song. Actually, some people might not know that it was actually written by Tommy Evans and Peter Ham from Badfinger.
That's right.
Wrote it. That's right. And then Harry Nilsson made it a big hit in the 70s.
Yeah. Apparently, they didn't get any royalties from that record, and that's why Peter Ham unfortunately committed suicide.
And Tommy Evans did 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yes, very sad.
That's right.
Badfinger, tragic story. Tell me
Yeah.
about the making of the album Blaze, one of my favorite Herman Hermit records, and your song Busy Line is on that. Now, it changed kind of the direction, which I thought it was fantastic. Upstairs, downstairs, you had some great songs on there. Did you guys decide to change that, or was that the record company said you need to change a little bit?
No, Mickey, we were playing some songs that we liked that we'd written, and Mickey decided to give us more freedom in the songs. And he would listen to us when we said, we want to do this in this song and we want to do that. He gave us a bit more free reign to be a part of the production and the arrangement. And that's the way it worked out. I just wish that he'd given maybe me and Keith more some songs to sing solo in, and that would have changed the direction of the band, because I don't have a sweet voice like Pete. Peter's got a fantastic sweet voice, but when I sing, I'm a bit more of a gravelly rocker, And Keith had a great voice as well. He still has. He's still putting out records at home, Keith Hopwood.
And he's still playing. And you guys wrote some of the songs in some of the records. My Reservation has been confirmed. Love that song. For Love, Tell Me Baby, Busy Line, Moonshine Man, I Know Why. You guys wanted to write more of your own music. How did it go over, your opinion, with the public?
I don't think it was promoted that well. ABKCO actually re-released it in probably 2016 or something like that. I can't remember exactly the date, but they put it out on vinyl, and they did a limited run, and they sold out within days. It's incredible. So if there had been more publicity at the time, I think the album would have done great. But it was a change from our normal format. And I'm not sure that, but at the end of the 70s, at the end of the 60s, the Flower Power was coming in. There was lots of great bands starting up, and we sort of got left behind, because we kept the same. If we'd have changed a little bit, I think we would have been more current and got more fans.
More fans on that. How did you guys find out that Peter Noone was leaving the band, and how did you take that when that decision was made? He
threatened to leave the band pretty often, and by the time he did leave, we just went, "Yeah, okay, good luck." He left. We carried on, and that's when we came back to the States in '73 and did a revival thing with Peter. We did the British Invasion again. There was us, the Searchers, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy Kramer and the Dakotas, Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders. Both of them had it. Yeah, and it was a great tour, really good tour. And after that tour, Peter went on his own again, and we just. A guy that in the States said, "If you want to come back here and play here, we'd love to have you." So we started touring from '74 onwards until I left in 1980. And then the band were in.
Yeah, well, you retired, but what made you come out of retirement in 2014?
It was in 1980 I left the band.
Correct.
Because my wife was having miscarriages while I was away, and we desperately wanted kids. She had 6 miscarriages while I was away on the road, and I decided to, I just thought to myself, what do I want? Do I want kids, or do I want to stay on the road and earn money? And I thought I'd rather have the kids, because it was getting late in life, and it was like then or never. So I left the band, and we found out why she was having all the miscarriages. It was something to do with our white blood cell count. And there's an American guy called Dr. Paige Falk, who was doing research into leukemia and things like that, and discovered that a lot of people have got the same white blood count, and they call them, and discovered how with blood transfusions, a woman can get pregnant and keep the baby. So we became a test. There were six couples that tested this new form of therapy or whatever, blood transfusions, and within months, my wife was pregnant, and she kept the baby, and that was our first daughter, Claire, in 1984. Yeah, we tried 10 years before we had our first babe, and then we had 3 girls after that. It's great. Lovely.
That's
And now
fantastic.
they're all grown up. They're all grown up with their own kids. So I'm a granddad now, 4
Yeah.
times. I've got 4 grandkids, and I've got one on the way. Oh,
Congrats. I just became a grandfather a month ago myself, Carl. I became a
it's
grandfather
great.
myself for the first time. It's a
Yeah.
great feeling. Speaking
Okay.
of your children and your wife, I mean, what do they think? I mean, what do they think looking back and seeing some of your shows on YouTube or going back and watching on those great? What have they thought about grandfather Carl Green? I mean, it must have been a pretty cool feeling.
Well, when my kids were at school, they were really embarrassed because their teachers used to say, "Could you get your dad's autograph for me?" But they're very level-headed kids, you know. And I've got another grandchild on the way in December. And last time I came over here to visit Mike and Tracy, I was only away for a month. I normally come over for 3 months, but since the grandkids, I thought I'd cut it down a little bit. And I got home after a month, and Darcy, my little granddaughter, she said, "Granddad, you've been away for a whole year." I mean, kids, the time for kids goes so slowly. And she thought I'd been away for a whole year. When I came home, she ran to me and jumped up and said, "Granddad, you've been away for a whole year." I thought that was so sweet.
Well, that is incredible. Carl, you just mentioned Mike, of course, Mike and Tracy, good, clean fun, and us now with the Taylor Experience. How did you hook up with Mike and Tracy?
Well, Mike has a friend called Connor Mahoney, he's only a young kid. He's sort of in his 30s now, but he was very young when I met him. He was the biggest knowledge on 60s music. It's incredible. And they got in touch with me, and Mike said, "I've got a band that we play Herman's Hermit stuff to celebrate 50 years in the business," because it was 2014 was 50 years after Hermit Something Good came out. Yep. He said, "Do you fancy coming over to the States and playing with my band and just having a bit of fun?" So I said, "Yeah, I'm up for it." Yeah, I just enjoy playing, and now I'm retired. I play more than I did back in the early days. But I just love it.
So that's why you came out of retirement. So that's why you came out of retirement in 2014, because is that what happens? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, Mike asked me to come over, and I came over for 2 weeks and had such a great time that I decided to come back. It was that was in the August, and I came back in December, I think it was, or November, December. And Gina, Gina Knight, who played drums with us a few times when we were doing live stuff, she knew a guy with a studio, and he invited us to go and use the studio to make an album, which was great. And we took him up on it, and that's when we formed the Carl Green Band, and went and recorded our first album as the Carl Green Band with Mike,
and
myself,
that was Gina. And that was called Long Road Back in 2010, right? If I'm correct, it was called.
Yeah. And Mike has just handed me one of the CDs. That's it.
There you go. I have one myself. Of that. So very good.
Oh, great.
But you also recorded a lot of 4 albums, or you put out at one time. Tell me about a little bit about Heart Get Ready for Love in 1978. What was that? A song or a whole record?
That was a song that we. In the 70s, we were with RCA. We did a whole album, and the guy that was looking after us at RCA, he died, unfortunately. And the new guy that came in was a big fan of the Searchers, so the Searchers got our deal instead of us. So that album was shelved. It was called. The band was called Sour Mash at the time.
That's right. I was about to ask you next. Yeah, Sour Mash. That's what. Yes.
For the Whale of the Tail. And Keith remixed a lot of it. And if anyone gets in touch with Keith Hopwood at Pluto Records, they can buy a copy of Sour Mash. Yeah.
I don't know. There you go. I don't know if you realize this, but Kim Peterson LeFew, who's a singer, just mentioned on the show right here. She just said, "Did you hear Howie Mandel reference Herman's Hermits last night on America's Got Talent?" He actually mentioned the name of the band on American. Yeah, there you go, Howie Mandel. Yeah. So thank you, Kim, for that. We got the legendary Carl Green in the house, folks. Ocean Smith, former member of Herman's Hermits, 80 million records sold, 14 top 40 hits. Carl, original music, 4 albums. What are you working on now? Anything that you're going to do besides the autobiography? Any more new music coming out?
Well, when I'm in England, I play with a band called Grandma's Wooden Leg. Very strange name for a band, but we're all we were all with big bands in the 60s. I mean, the guitar player was with the Foundations. Alan Warner was with the Foundations. The drummer was with Edison Lighthouse, who did Love Grows When Rosemary Grows. And other people in the band were in the Elton John band and the band that did Sugar Baby Love, the Rubettes. Yeah. So when we go out over there, we tour England, we go around Spain. We were in Iceland last year. And we play all the hits by us, the Foundations, the Rubettes, Elton John, intermixed with a lot of 50s and 60s classics. And we just have a ball. We don't do it for the money. We do it because we love it.
Because you love to
we
do
don't
it.
earn much money. In fact, it costs us money to go on the road, but we just got to do it. Yeah, musicians isn't what we. It's not what we do. It's what we are. In the heart, we've just got to play.
Yeah.
The only time musicians really totally happy is when I'm playing. Fabulous.
Right. Old musicians, we never die. We just go from bar to bar. I mean,
that's right.
It's in our heart. Carl, do you have a favorite Hermit song? If you had to pick one, there's so many great ones. If you had one,
my favorite of all the songs we did was "Kind of Hush." There's a kind of hush all over the world. Beautiful song.
It's an incredible
so adaptable. So many people have recorded it on albums. The Carpenters had a hit with it as a single. I think Frank Sinatra did it on an album. Engelbert Humperdinck did it. And I keep hearing people, saying, "Oh, it's on so-and-so's album. It's on so-and-so's album." A great song. And the guy that wrote it died recently. And he was a friend, since the day. He became a nice friend. And it's terrible to see these people go. You see, at our age now, all our contemporaries are all dying off. It's a shame. But that's why I don't stop. That's why I don't stop. If you keep going, just keep going. Age is a number, I mean, I'm 77 in a couple of weeks, but up here, I'm still 19.
19. Actually, your birthday, happy early birthday, July 31st, right? Is your birthday? Am I correct? Happy early birthday to you, sir. Did you ever think, when is the Carl Green's Hermits going on tour? I mean, if Aaron's doing one and Peter's doing one, why not Carl Green?
Well, I think two of them is enough. Two is enough.
Two is enough.
I saw Barry's Hermits.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say anything about it. If you can't say something good, say nothing. I've seen Peter.
I did watch him on YouTube. I did a concert they did. I watched him on YouTube. And that was my other question. Obviously, you keep in touch still with them. You still talk to Peter at all?
Yeah. I mean, whenever Peter's in the area here, like around Chicago, and he knows I'm here, he'll call me and say, I've left tickets at the door. I've left stage passes. Come along. And he usually says, bring your bass and go and jam with him. And I've done that a couple of times, been to his shows, and they're great. I must admit, he is really good. His voice is so sweet. He's a great showman. So go and see him. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen Peter. And of course, you got a good backing band behind him, which really helps when there's good musicians behind you.
Yeah, they're all good musos. I know them all. Yeah, and they're all good. I mean, Billy lived around Chicago for a while. He's moved quite a way away now, but we still keep in contact. Yeah. And very Mike was on the phone to Billy a little while ago because I had all my guitars stolen in Chicago. I had 5 beautiful guitars stolen. So this time I came over without a guitar, and I wanted to bring my Line 6, which is a modeling guitar, and I didn't have a transformer for the American Voltage, and Billy offered to let me have his. But I came over without a guitar, and I bought one since I've been here. Got a really good deal on a Telecaster. Fabulous guitar.
Did you find any of those the guitars again? Did you find any of those? The ones that were stolen?
Stolen ones? No. They've not. They're all left-handed, and some of them they're custom made, so they're going to find it difficult to sell them, I'm sure, because they're so recognizable. I mean, I've got a Strat with a humbucker pickup on the neck position, and I've never seen a Strat like that. I keep looking on all the sales and Facebook Marketplace and all that. I've not seen, and Reverb. I've not seen any of them.
Any of them.
But
that's a shame. It's a shame that that's got to happen. Yeah, horrible that's got to happen. Ocean's Pit, ladies and gentlemen, Carl Green from Herman's Hermits. Time for another commercial break, folks. We're talking about our good friend Mary Grievous. If you're looking for real estate at its finest, Mary is the girl for you, folks. That's right, Mary Grievous. So, perfect real estate professional, whether you're putting your home on the market, looking for your dream home, give her a call today. She's available to sit buyers, sellers, for sale by owners, expired listings. Berkshire Hathaway Stark Real Estate. That's M. Grievous at starkre.com, or give her a call at 630-688-1725. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Mary Grievous is also part of NTD Vacations. And you know what that means. We're talking about the Chicago Music Cruise 2025. When you can come out and check us all on that music cruise, it's going to be great. March 22nd to March 30th on the Royal Caribbean, Oasis of the Seas, Fort Lauderdale, Carousel, Aruba, and Coco Key, Bahamas, along with Tony Ocean, the main event band, Mojo's Jukebox, my other band. We're going to have the great Hillbilly Rock Stars, the number one country band in the city, and Seventh Heaven. And joining us also, Frankie Hollywood Rodriguez, Spinning Stuff, and the Jersey Girls will be joining us as well on March 22nd to March 30th, 2025. Go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com, mention Tony Ocean, or call Mary at 630-688-1725. We got Carl Green from Herman's Hermits. Carl, tell me about when I love some of these great songs. Let's get right to tell me where Busy Line came from.
Well, I wrote that with Keith and Lek, I think. And we were just tinkering about, wondering, what we could write for an album. And I think Keith said, what about writing something about, when you're trying to call your girl and it's always busy and you think, oh, she's got to be with another guy, you've lost her, And that was the theme of the song. I keep trying to call you, but your phone's always busy. Who's there?
Yeah, right. What about the song? I love one of the songs. I Understand, I think is off the first record, correct?
Yeah, that was it's an old traditional song from England.
It's almost like the
Old Lang Syne. It's based on Old Lang Syne. In fact, Freddie and the Dreamers had a hit with that in England, and they sang I Understand and Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgotten? The New Year's Eve song, yeah.
Yeah. But, how about a Must to Avoid? Where did that come from?
Must to Avoid was another P.F. Sloan song that he wrote for Hold On. Great, I love it because it's verging on sort of soft punk, where it's really fast and aggressive. Geez, I must to avoid. I listen to the old songs and I'm amazed at how quick they all are. They all go at a terrific pace. Yeah,
they are.
When I see Peter and Barry doing the songs, they're slowed down a little bit, and if I sing the songs, they're a little bit slower, so we can get the words out, because there's a lot of words in those songs. And remembering the words.
It's very hard to remember words. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how Peter I don't even think when I think I've seen him in concert, I don't think he's even got a teleprompter. A lot of guys do have teleprompters. Yeah. I don't think they do. It's not easy doing that.
Well, I play various bands. I play in lots of different bands, and I have to remember all the songs from all those different bands. And I may go and do a gig with a band, and I only play the song twice, and then it's forgotten for a while, So I have to keep rehashing songs in my head, thinking, oh yeah, that's the one with so many this chords there and words. So I have an iPad now that I add the words. That if I start forgetting the words, I can just glance down and so, oh, that's the chord, yeah.
Carl, tell me about Ginny Go Softly.
Ginny Go Softly, yeah, that was. Yeah. I can't remember who wrote that, but that was.
That's a great song.
Fabulous song. Yeah,
it's a great song.
I had to sing it very high, and I was in sort of semi-falsetto voice, so it was quite a weak sounding vocal on it. I liked. What's that other one we did? Heart Get Ready for Love. I thought that was a good song, really good song. But again, we had bad management. Our management screwed us over and sold the rights to the songs without us knowing. Terrible thing.
And that's happening to a lot of people. What about the show? You guys did a lot of show tunes like "Leaning on the Lamp," two lovely black eyes. I mean, I just love some of that stuff. Was that part of the thing? Were you guys happy that you did that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Mickey had this idea of doing like an album of pub songs, because all the bands in England, we all started in pubs and rock clubs and things, and people back in the day in the pubs, you'd have a piano player playing two lovely, and the whole pub would sing along. So Mickey had this idea of us going into a pub and recording all these things live, and then found out it wasn't technically viable, really. So we got Kenny Lynch, who was a great English comedian, to come in and suggest these songs and tell us how to sing it like the old boys did, you know. And I enjoyed that album. There's some great things in it.
Well, you put out, wasn't that the record? It was called Both Sides, right? Wasn't that record called Both Sides?
Yeah, that's right. But
and it was almost like it was in a pub. It was almost like it was recorded in a pub, because you hear the clapping, you hear the background talking in it.
Yeah, it was his idea to actually do a live gig, but the technical part of it wasn't possible in those days, because we weren't recording on multi-tracks, and a lot of multi-tracks, when you record multi-track, you can overdub. But the way we were recording was you'd record it and that was it. You know, if you got things wrong, if you made a mistake, it'd be there on tape forever. So we decided to go in the studio and do it to make it sound like it was in a pub. Yeah.
It's good. Sound like
I enjoyed it.
What about the story about No Milk Today? What a great song that was.
That was written by Graham Gulman. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know is that Graham's father wrote a lot of the lyrics to those songs, because I was out with Mike and we did a gig last night at his local golf club. Great night, and I was singing No Milk Today, and I couldn't believe the words that, you know, I told him that Graham's father had written the lyrics. And it's funny because there's a line that says something about being gay, but that's nothing to do with, you know, being a homosexual. In that day, being gay was being happy. So it just shows you how the dictionary has been twisted round. Yeah, words don't mean absolutely anymore. Yeah.
That's amazing. Some of the stuff now. Some of the bands that you did you have any favorite like British Invasion bands that you were out at the time? Did you ever listen to the Kinks or the Hollies or Dark Five? Did you guys hang out with any of these musicians when they were?
Yeah, the Kinks in 1963. We used to do the Monday lunchtime sessions at the Cavern with the Kinks. They would drive down from London or up from London to Liverpool. It was 200 miles plus in a beat up old ambulance, and they would play the Cavern lunchtime sessions, and we'd play with them. And then we'd do the evening sessions with people like the Escorts, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy Kramer used to play there all the time. Yeah, the Cavern was a fantastic place, and we played there a lot. The guy that ran the place liked the band, because we always got lots of people in there. Before we made records, we used to fill the place because we had a really big local following. And that's when we recorded I Be Something Good, it went into the chart so quickly because all these people around Manchester, Liverpool, those sort of areas went out and bought it. Yeah, we were very lucky to have all those people.
Also, speaking of the Kinks, Ray Davies, did he not write Dandy?
That's right, yeah. That's right. Dandy. He wrote that. And would you believe it that in '64, when I Be Something Good got to #1 in the charts, what song did we knock off the #1? It was You Really Got Me by the Kinks. So Ray never forgave us for that.
And you know what? They've never officially broke up. I mean, the brothers always fight. Looks like they might do something. The Kinks might do something now for their anniversary or something. But
that would be great. I see Mick Avery a lot because he plays in different bands that I work with.
Sure.
And Mick, I think Mick's so relaxed and laid back that he would probably eventually do it, but he didn't get on with Dave at all. Dave and Mick just didn't see eye to eye. In fact, I think Mick threw a cymbal at him one night.
Yeah, I think they punched each other or something. I read that story. Tell me about, were you familiar with the Hollies? Graham Nash.
Yeah. My dad used to work with Graham Nash's father on the docks because Graham was from Salford as well. And I knew Graham when he was first with the Hollies. We used to do local gigs around Manchester when we were completely unknown, and they were building a big fan base. And when we first came to the States, I think we used them as an opening band for a while, the Hollies, and that's when Graham met the guys out of Crosby, Stills and Nash, Dave Crosby, Steve Stills. He met them.
He left.
Yeah.
Correct.
And after that tour they did of America, he said to the guys, "I'm leaving," and he came over here on a wing and a prayer. Would you believe that? I admire his courage, because he came over here with no promises, but they were good, and the cream will rise to the top. And they had some. I've got all their albums, superb stuff.
Yeah,
loved it.
Loved stuff.
All of it.
What about Eric Burden and the Animals? What'd you think of them?
Great band. Eric he lives near Peter, actually, out in California. They were great. We toured with the Animals as well. Great fellas. In fact, in 2016, there was an agent in New York that was trying to get me and Hilton Valentine to do a show together. I'd do the Hermit stuff, Hilton would do the Animals stuff, and then we'd get together at the end and just do a rock set, because he was a good rocking drummer. Yeah. And he was a good friend at the time. But unfortunately, the guy went and died. Terrible. Very early. He died early.
What about, Carl, what about Dave Clark 5?
We never worked with them. We didn't know them very well. We used to see them at things like Top of the Pops, television shows. But we weren't that friendly with them, because we were all from Manchester and they were all from London. A band I got very friendly was Brian Poole and the Tremolos. I don't know if did I have hits over here? Brian Poole?
The Tremolos had a couple of hits.
Did they do Here Comes My Baby?
That's right, yeah. That was when Brian Poole left.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Tremolos had hits on their own. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're all dying off. Dave
Carl,
Munden died a couple of years ago.
He died, yeah.
Silence.
Were you close with any of the Beatles at all?
Not close. No, we met them a few times. I think Peter got quite close with John, because we did a big show in England every year. They have what they call the New Musical Express poll winners concert. Whoever wins the poll in this newspaper, like as new band or best bass player and things like that, they all play a concert together at Wembley. And we were in the dressing room waiting to go on, so nervous. And Paul McCartney came in the dressing room. Good luck, lads. Do great show. And when we eventually got on stage, we went on stage to set up and started playing the beginning to Must to Avoid. And unknown to us, Peter was backstage talking to John Lennon and didn't hear us start. So we had to go around the intro for Must to Avoid about 10 times. And then Peter suddenly realized, I should be on stage, comes dashing on stage. Yeah, quite funny, actually. But we just got over it. It's great.
Some great experiences. You must have a lot of stories. I'm interesting. When do you think this autobiography will be done and ready for us to read?
Well, when I get back, I'm going to meet with the guy and see what he's done. And then there's lots more for us to put in as soon as possible. I'm really keen to get it done, because I've been doing it for so long. But he's just editing bits and bobs and keeping it real. Yeah.
Carl, you know what?
So I'll find out when I get home.
I always wonder though, but I've looked online and I found books on Dave Clark 5, the Hollies, the Monkees, the Stones, the Beatles. No one's written a book about the Hermits, the band. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I thought Peter was writing a book. Did Peter write a book? I know Barry was, because he wanted some tapes that I made that included Lech. We got together and I had a tape machine going, and we were just talking about the old days and what we remembered and things. And I used that as a starter to do my book. And I just got the dates from Olaf Orff in Norway, who knows everything about the band. He knows so much. I think he knows me. And Connor knows me better than I know myself. It's ridiculous. He comes up and said, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And I go, oh yeah, I've forgotten about that. But all these guys are so knowledgeable about those days. I mean, it slips our minds when you've done it.
Yeah, but people don't realize that. Carl, people don't realize, and they should. I mean, that British invasion music is still popular today as it was years ago. I mean, people still listen to all those great bands Freddie
Right.
the Dreamers, Jerry the Pacemakers. I mean, the Hollies, Kermit Sermons. I mean, they just go down the line, and there was so many great groups and so many great songs. I'm so happy that you're still bringing music in and still doing what you're doing. But what did you do between 1980 and 2014 when you decided to come out of retirement?
I went home and I thought, what can I do? I didn't want to go. I could have gone to EMI and been a staff producer or something like that. But I just wanted to get out of the business completely, just for a while, and sleep in my own bed every night, have a home life, which I'd never had. And I started a business. I looked in the telephone directory. I'd had my kitchen floor tiled by a really good tiler. I tried to get him to come back and do one of my bathrooms, and I just couldn't get him. He was too busy. So I looked in the directory, lots of plumbers and no tilers. So I thought, I'll start a tiling business. And I couldn't believe how quickly it took off. I ended up doing tiling, plumbing, anti-slipping leisure centres with a special acid that opens up the pores. Yeah, I did that until I retired.
Well, let me ask you, it must have been a lot of people had to recognize you.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you walked the
Yeah.
door. I mean, that's got to be a pretty cool feeling to know that so many people love the music that you've done. Carl, what would you say the biggest crowd Herman Sermons played in front of?
I think it'd probably be Madison Square Garden or the Rose Bowl, Pasadena. Oh, and the state fairs. I think the Ohio State Fair was the biggest. And we did that with Bob Hope one year. Bob Hope introduced us, but that was enormous. So we did 3 shows a day, and everyone was packed. Everyone was packed to the limit.
Carl, how long were the shows?
About an hour.
Were the shows? An hour.
About an hour. Yeah. We got away with murder because now people, when you play in a bar, people expect you to play up to 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
When I first came to see Mike, I couldn't believe how long they sang for.
Right, they kept singing. Right, I know that feeling. Yeah.
When we were doing the Herman Hermit stuff, I couldn't believe how many people still knew the words. They were singing along. And I had no idea that we were still popular.
Yeah, well, you are still popular, and Greg, what you guys are doing, it's fantastic. We're almost running out of time, but I got to ask you, March 2020, you listen to the radio, TV comes on, COVID-19 is hitting this world.
Oh.
What was your first thought? What was your first thought when that happened? First of all, what was your thought? Thinking of you and your family, what was your thought about it all?
Well, I was that just before COVID hit, I had booked a flight to come back here. And I wanted to come back here for a long time, but they closed all the doors. They wouldn't let anyone leave the house even for a long time. And I had been, I'm an alcoholic, and I had not had a drink for 28 years before COVID hit. And because I was sort of locked up in my flat on my own, I could visit my daughters now and again very secretly because we weren't allowed to go out. I just started drinking the odd beer again, and then another beer and another beer, and it ended up drinking lots of bourbon. So I decided nearly 5 months ago to quit again. So I'm now dry for the rest of my life. One's too many, 20's not enough. Yeah,
20's not enough. Got it. Well, congratulations on that, Carl. Last question. One of the last questions. What happened? What were your thoughts when punk rock came to England and Europe? It was almost as big like when the British invasion came in. What was your thought of that kind of music that came in and changed a lot of stuff back in England?
I thought it was great, really good. In fact, I was listening to some heavy music in Tracy's daughter's car. She was putting the music on through her phone. And I thought it was great. And I came back home and we just jokingly got a guitar out and started playing the chords to listen people in punky stuff. So people, I'm going to record that when I get home and put it out.
Yeah. I mean, you could just picture Johnny Rotten singing "Listen, People," from the Pistols. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it would be
they
very
were good.
cool.
They were really good. I mean, they brought a breath of fresh air to the business. Every time you get big change, people rethink what they're doing, And if they're not in that genre, they do their own genre better to keep up. So it always improves. New blood improves everything.
Carl, last question for you, sir. Someone comes up to you now and says, boy, I'd like to get into this business. What would you tell them?
If your heart's in it, go for it. But it's tough. It's a difficult business to be in. And you've got to love the music more than the money. Yeah? A lot of people do it just for the dough. But I do it. I would play for free every night of the week because I love doing it. It's got to be in here. You know, the music is in here.
It's got to be in your heart. Carl, first of all, I want to thank you, first of all, for the years and years of great music you've brought to so many people. I mean, I've been a Hermits fan my whole life, and I still love them. And people sometimes give me a little shit about it. But you know what? That band was so underrated. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They deserve to be in there. There is British royalty to what this music has done, and people still listen to this music. And I just want to thank you for your time. I wish you again happy birthday, and I hope whatever you end up doing in the future, please let us know. And again, thank you so much, Carl Green.
I just want to say that at some point I want to come and see your show because everyone that's seen you said you've got the rockinest show around. So I want to come and see it.
You must be talking to my mother. You must have been talking to my mother. That's it. But me and Mike, I bring Mike up and we do something good. We do kind of a hush. We do some other great songs. But if you had one last question, if your favorite rock song, you have a favorite rock song? What is it?
Rocky Mountain Way by Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh, fantastic.
I could listen to Joe Walsh day and night. Yeah.
And he's Ringo's brother-in-law.
Yeah, he plays in the Ringo's All-Star band. I'd love to see them sometime as well with the people they got in that band. Terrific.
But I would love to see a Carl Green's Hermits too. Go out there and do stuff. Or maybe grab somebody from the Animals. Hey, you can do something like Ringo did with the All-Star band.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, yeah.
And come up and do get some other guys and do your stuff. But whatever you do, keep doing what you're doing, Carl. Thank you much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your time in the States. And God bless you, sir. Have a great day.
Thanks much. Thank you very much. You take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Green, British royalty in the house, ladies and gentlemen, former member, member, of course, the founder of Hermits. 80 million records sold, 18 top hits. Unbelievable, folks. We are running out of time, and I wish I could have kept talking to him forever. I just didn't want to bother the guy. He's just fantastic. What a loving, sweet guy who answers all the questions and from the heart, and that's what it's about, folks. Garelli Pavement Service, if you're looking for stuff done at the house, this is the time to do it, folks. Garelli Pavement Service, that's right, specializing in parking lots, doing both asphalt, concrete work, they do repairs, replacement, seal coating, crack filling, lot painting, 5-star rating. They're also service in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. Call them at 815-271-5835 and check out the website at Garelli Pavement Services. Tell them Tony O sent you. Let's not forget Jack Vena Landscaping. They offer monthly maintenance programs, bush trimming, spring, fall cleanup, bed mulching, fertilizing, weed control. They offer plant design, service, installation, servicing the North Shore for over the 44 years. Call Tommy at 847-432-5266. And let's not forget Airtight Windows. If you're looking for new windows and you want it done right, do it right with Airtight. For honesty and quality, dependability, do it right with Airtight. Serving Chicagoland for over 35 years. Do it right with Airtight. 708-788-5000. Tell them Tony O sent you. And last but not least, my good friend Sal from Deutsch Power Center, servicing the construction and diesel industry in Chicago for the last 100 years. Call Deutsch at 224-276-6550. Call my buddy Sal. Ocean's Pit, little show about big things, folks. Tomorrow, Laura Ocean will be in the house with me, and Friday, Pat DeSambo, the owner of the Lyric Theater in Blue Island, will be our guest on Friday, folks. Big shows coming up. Tomorrow night we'll be at Schiller Park Clock Tower, Concert in the Park. That's tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg, 8 o'clock. Saturday we'll be at Freddy's in Fox Lake on the water. And Sunday, Mount Carmel Fest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, with Ocean's Rat Pack, tribute to Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. Folks, don't forget Armando Supermarkets, buy local, shop local, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, and Mike and Gigi Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair for all your collision auto repair needs. Guys, how about some quick birthdays for Wednesday, July 10th? Doc Severinsen, 97 years old. Remember the Doc from The Tonight Show? Absolutely. You got to love it. Shelley Duvall, great actress, 75 years old. Joseph Stout, Joe out there, happy birthday. Roy Brown, you might remember him. He was Cookie to Cook on the Bozo Show, celebrating. Craig Stevens, who played Peter Gunn, celebrating a birthday. Santa Jagger, Santa, wherever you are, happy birthday. My friend Shirley Jones, Mrs. Partridge, 90 years old, the great Shirley Jones. Steve Lawrence, Stephen Eady, Steve Lawrence celebrating a birthday from the great movie Young Frankenstein. Marty Feldman, 90 years old would have been. Christopher Lloyd, of course, from Taxi and Back to the Future, 84 years old. Kevin Bacon is 66 years old. Toby Keith, country singer who passed away a couple years ago, the great Toby Keith. And don't forget John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the world at one time. And Angelica Houston, 73 years old. And Sebastian Maniscalco turns 51 years old. Guys, it's time for us to go. Don't forget, buy local, shop local. And let's not forget our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy a local, shop local. Our good friends from Ace Hardware. They got so much stuff going on, our good friends from Ace, so you got to make sure that you take care of them. Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, and Warrenville. Guys, don't forget, grill your Ace off. Get $20 off any grill purchase. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Guys, we got to go. Remember, please support local establishments, support live entertainment. Very cool, man. Be kind to everybody. I want to thank Mike and Tracy from Good Clean Fun for putting that all together for me, and the Taylor Experience, Taylor Swift Experience. Check them out. And of course, again, thank you, British royalty, Carl Green of Herman's Hermits, formerly of Herman's Hermits. What a great after. I don't even know what else to say. I'm losing it. Anyway, we got to go. From the great words of Ringo Starr, peace and love. God bless you, everybody. Have a great day. Nick Sahajas, take us out. We got.
Oh, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony.
Bye-bye.